someone still has the same struggles as everyone's improving. So the question is, has he learned?
And we are getting started. We are going into round 2. I heard Pokemon music, so are we on Pokemon Stadium 2?
We got Beat-Out chants in the crowd. I love this.
And yes, we are. Everyone likes starting here. Let's get into it, scores.
Indeed, indeed, Sadie. And a decently aggressive start off the bat. It's super important against Samus because they generally lean towards, as a zoner, they camp a lot, but that means they ultimately give up a lot of stage and a lot of space to set up their projectiles, to get the room to safely charge shot. So as a result, stage control is everything because you have to choke them out. You have to give them no space to run away and effectively leave them cornered in a gulag of their own creation.
Palu definitely has the tools to deal with Samus, and Zone is showing that right now. He is keeping on the pressure, making sure Samus doesn't have time to charge shot, set up, or do anything.
Absolutely. You can just see this constant harassment. If Zone is afar, we're seeing the projectiles, the auto-reticle to poke him out. And if Zone is up close, we're seeing the invincible shield, the back airs, the dash attacks. Bengus just can't really... Bengus isn't allowed to play his game right now. 94% on deck and still stuck in the Ultra Zone.
We're even seeing Zone use Reflect. We don't see Palu's use it that much, but I know it's very useful in this MU right now, and Zone is demonstrating that very well. He has stage control. He is very aggressive right now, and he is keeping that control, and Bengus can't seem to do anything. He needs to find an answer. Absolutely, because
Bengus is just trying to play his usual game, but the Ultra Zone is absolutely denying that. As you can see, put straight back into the Ultra Zone. The rolls are absolutely going to get destroyed. Swallowed whole by the black hole that is the Ultra Zone.
And the dash attack takes it. Zone looking so strong right now. He is showing, I have played this MU so many times. I know what to do. I stay in your face. You can't do much. You have to change up your game plan.
Absolutely, and we're already starting to see it. We see the slight aggressive shift with the dash attacks and Nez. It's now Bengus who's trying to play the role of the aggressor, and he kind of has to, because Samus' default game plan is shot. It's very strong and it's very powerful, but if they can't use it, they have to be able to adapt. They have to be able to play a different game than what they're used to, because as we've seen, Bengus' default game plan is just not working. And as a result, this shift is exactly what he needs, but it's tough. You have to force yourself outside of that comfort zone.
I just love the patience from Zone. Zone is seeing what Bengus throws out, and then he reacts accordingly and punishes, and it's been working so well, and Bengus needs to take this stock, or it's going to look very hard for him to make this comeback.
Absolutely, absolutely, because Zone is... Oh, that pivot grab! Are you seeing that? Zone is... no bias whatsoever, but Zone is absolutely moving. Bengus needs to find an answer, because Zone is absolutely getting through this bullet hell. He's making it look like Level 1 of Undertale, bro. The frogs are being dealt with right now. It's mad. Like, look at this.
Zone is in his head, throwing out the back end. He knows when to use the moves and what will break against Samus's moves. And Bengus, what can Bengus do, Scores?
What can Bengus do, Sadie? I'm at a loss for answers, truly.
He knows when to go in. He knows when to go out. Zone is looking so unstoppable right now. The Ultra Zone is so undefeatable right now. It's impossible to break out of it.
Absolutely. If this is an Undertale bullet fight, then, oh my goodness, Zone has absolutely memorized the patterns. He says, I know that the Ghost of Lost is coming here, the shot is coming here, and I'm going to position here right now. He knows the exact sequence, and he's ready, but it appears there's a new element to the sequence, Sadie. It appears Zone has been caught off guard as he's finding himself cornered here and there.
He's even hitting him with the parries. He hasn't even lost his first stock yet. And Bengus might actually lose his here.
Oh my goodness. Just Bengus cannot find an answer. Oh, the Ultra Zone narrowly gets caught missing. The Ultra Zone does not swallow its target whole, but...
And getting the down air and finishing with a strong freestyle from Zone. He is looking unstoppable. The crowd goes wild, throwing out the Birat chants.
Absolutely. You're seeing this time and time again. The bullet hell, the patterns have been memorized. It's simply elementary gameplay for Zone at the moment. He's just positioning himself right. He says, I know where you're going to be, and I know how to choke you out. Because that's the main thing. Samus excels at long range, and they do pretty well at close range because up B is a good get-off-me option. But if you play mid-range and you play it well, you make them feel uncomfortable. You corner them, you take up that space, and ultimately, you choke them out. You suffocate them. They have no room to breathe.
We're going into round 2. And we are back on PS2, because who doesn't love PS2? But exactly. Bengus starting off with the lead right now.
Indeed, indeed. It's going to be interesting to see the playstyle shift, because as we saw, Zone is very familiar with the bullet hell that is Samus. He's memorized the attack patterns, the attack sequences even. And yet, Bengus is still at the back foot, so the ultimate shift that he's going to make, I believe, is he's going to have to change up the sequence a little bit. He's going to have to change up the timings and the playstyle itself. Because if he doesn't find himself on the aggressor, then ultimately it's just going to be another day in the lab for B-Rats.
And as you were saying, Zone is playing at mid-range, but I'm seeing that Bengus is making slight adjustments and running back, so he has more space and attacking Zone and punishing Zone for that. So he has adapted from the first game and is looking a lot more even right now.
Absolutely, but we're starting to see, inch by inch, interaction by interaction, a little bit of matchup unfamiliarity. As you can see here, every time that Zone goes for the explosive flames from off stage, Bengus is either shielding it or getting hit by it, which is the incorrect counterplay, because it just leaves him completely vulnerable if he gets hit. And if he shields it, it's -2, so you completely get away with it. We're seeing that slight bit of infamiliarity even, catching Bengus off guard. He needs to be able to adapt to these.
Good DI from Bengus there, but he is on ledge right now. Zone has full stage control, and he is keeping up the pressure so well.
Absolutely. It's like we said, Bengus is getting absolutely suffocated. He's not really able to find the room to breathe. As you can see here, he's trying to set up the bombs. He realizes he's in danger, tries to use bomb to get away, but nope. Virat is just Zone. The Ultra Zone is a shark in the water. If the Ultra Zone is a sea, then Zone is the shark in the Ultra Zone, bro. There is no escaping him.
Trying to land against Palu is very difficult as well. That dash attack, that invincible shield, nothing can go through it, and Zone takes advantage of that. But as I say that, Bengus finally takes a stock.
Absolutely. Bengus finds the life draft that he needs in the Ultra Zone. He's finding his way through the ocean bit by bit, but the Ultra Zone is not just an ocean, it's a fortified iron wall, and Zone is adding defenses, layers to layers. Bengus, it's constant adaptation back and forth. Bengus has to be the one to adapt faster. He has to be on his feet, because if he doesn't, the force is just going to be impenetrable.
Definitely.
Because I don't know, I've heard a lot of people laughing at the Ultra Zone, but I don't think you think the Ultra Zone is a joke, Sadie?
It's definitely not a joke right now, and he demonstrated that game 1, and he's still demonstrating that now. He may have lost the stock, but he is still looking very comfortable and very strong. Indeed, indeed, indeed. His reactions are so amazing as well.
Absolutely, but that said, Bengus is bringing it back. He's moving. Oh. He's making it a closer game than before at the very least, because last he couldn't touch Zone. Not a single stock was taken, but we're seeing a little bit of a closer game here, showing that the adaptation. But once again, you have to adapt faster than your opponent if you want to make the critical comeback, the critical reversals. That's where miracles and magic truly does happen. So the question is, can you become the magician, Bengus? What magic tricks do you have for us?
It looked like Bengus was getting something started there, but once again, Zone takes control of the stage, and the washing machines with Longo or Calgon, the Nairs come out and starts dominating, keeping him in the air, making it hard for him to set up, to do anything, and Zone prioritizes off of this and keeps up the damage, and Bengus, he needs to do something.
Absolutely, but you're seeing here, we can see the fear in Bengus. We can see that Zone has put the fear of God into him, because every time he gets off of ledge, he chooses a similar timing. You can see he's afraid. You're seeing these spot dodges, these rolls after interactions. Zone just has him shaking, and ultimately, he needs to calm down. He needs to take his time, because if you're afraid, then Zone is a shark. He can smell the fear. He gets drawn to it, and ultimately, the jaws are unrelentless. The draws are truly unrelentless!
And the back air takes the second game. Zone only lost 1 stock that game.
Indeed.
Looking very, very dominant. He just needs to win 1 more to continue on in bracket.
Indeed, but
Bengus needs to change up his game plan. What are you thinking, Skulls? What can he do?
It's very interesting. At the moment, his movement is just getting caught a lot. His entire space to play is being invalidated. So the answer to this is you have to fundamentally evaluate what tools are denying me my game plan. It's mainly auto reticle at the long range and dash attack / back airs in the mid to close range. So as a result, Bengus just needs to take his time a little bit more. Every time he's trying to set up, he's getting interrupted. So he needs to take it a little bit slower. He needs to bait Zone into swinging into invalidating that range, because usually, even though he's doing it in relatively safe ways, you still have, everything's a commitment. So you need to bait these commitments and fundamentally punish them. Also, take your time a little bit more at ledge, since these panic options are costing you. You cannot be afraid against the Ultra Zone.
But it's hard not to be, because look, once again, starting off strong with the Nairs. And we are on Honor Bastion, we have a stage change. Indeed,
this stage is actually pretty interesting. Samus loves it a lot because they get that little umbrella platform layout where they can just sit in the middle, and they don't have to deal with landing aerials because of the nature of Ultimate. If people try to land on top of you with aerials and there's a platform above, the platform is just going to catch them. It's almost like a bear trap, a mouse trap even, just boom. Jaws get closed. So as a result, that will invalidate the back air and the auto reticle pressure, but dash attack is still a thing, and we can see here, even though the general pressure is not being applied, Zone is still finding a way. Bengus is still having to deal with the same game.
Speaking of traps, Bengus is still stuck in Zone's Ultra Zone right now. He's been stuck at ledge for so long. Every time he gets back on stage, Zone is just like, nope, this is my stage, get back off, and knocks him right back off immediately. Once again, he is stuck.
Indeed, indeed. And I'm loving this ledge trapping from Zone at the moment. We're seeing this constant fluidity. You'll notice it with top players as well. What allows them to constantly keep these sequences going over and over is the fluidity. They're able to reposition instantly when they ledge trap. And as a result, that makes it so terrifying because you can't guess where they're going to go, what are they going to cover. It's so tough. And Bengus needs to, it's absolutely leaving Bengus discombobulated right now, to say the least.
He is definitely flabbergasted. What can he do? Zone's patience at ledge is so amazing.
Oh my goodness, almost. And that's just how it is. The damage keeps on racking up. It's a repeat of the other games. Bengus just cannot find a way off of ledge, which ironically is the opposite. That's what Samus should be doing, but Zone's ledge trapping is so good that he's able to play Samus's game against them. It's truly incredible. What is Bengus's answer, do you think, to this, Sadie?
I'm not too sure right now, Scores. He is trying his best, but Zone's jumping, air dodging, weaving, throwing out his moves, and they're just beating Bengus's moves.
Absolutely. As I said, playing around Child Shot with fluidity is the name of the game, and if fluidity is the name of the game, then Zone is like water right now. And we absolutely need Bengus to slow it down. We need Bengus to block the dam, become the dam that blocks the river, to stop the flow of water, because otherwise he's just going to bob and weave in between your projectiles, and the pressure will not stop.
Zone is really looking so dominant right now. The backheads, explosive flames. As I say that, Bengus takes the first stock from Zone.
Indeed, indeed. We've seen Bengus is now putting a couple logs down. As soon as a log gets put down to block the flow of water, immediately a tidal wave hits. That back air built different. And now Bengus has to make that comeback. He has to get that next stock to put himself back into it. So ultimately, what is he going to change up to do so? The explosive flames once again catching off guard, that matchup unfamiliarity. But he's doing what Samus does best right now. Corner pressure and ledge trapping. He's taking his time with these interactions, and it's exactly like I said. If someone is constantly harassing you, then you need to bait and punish. You need to bait their interruption tools and punish, but Bengus is only doing that bit by bit. I mean, as I say that, immediately another dam gets put down, another blockade for the river that is the Ultra Zone.
The adaptation definitely coming in. You can see Bengus slowly start to adapt to Zone. Zone needs to start adapting back, or this could be Bengus' first game in the bag, and the stage change really helping.
Indeed, indeed. You're seeing a little bit more patience from Bengus as well. He's taking his time. You can see with the positioning, he's not just holding the long range. He's not just he's not entirely putting himself in the corner. He's just taking his time and waiting for Zone to commit now, rather than forcing his own game plan. But unfortunately, adaptation is really hard to change everything all in one moment. So as a result, you're seeing these slight interactions where his habits are still being called out. But still, it's anyone's game. Last stock. Samus can absolutely make comebacks like these. All you need is one ledge trap.
Zone doing a very good job of chasing Bengus and keeping that pressure up. The dash attack saving him from the charge shot there. The auto reticle stopping the recovery. Zone is doing such a good job right now, and
immediately reacting
it with the back end.
The unreactable. Immediately reacting to ledge jump. The unreactable option, the mix up from ledge, because Bengus got right past him the first stock to escape the Ultra Zone ledge trapping with the jump over back air. But Zone was like, I know what you want. I know that this is your guaranteed answer to my playstyle, and I've already thought 2 steps ahead. Here's a back air to meet your back air. Truly excellent gameplay to watch.
Escaping the Ultra Zone, you could never. No one can.
To this day, no one has escaped the Ultra Zone. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. It was a very good showing from both players, honestly. It was interesting to see how we could see that Bengus was making slight changes to his game plan, you know. He wasn't able to shift everything all at once because that's really difficult to make, especially mid-game, right? And even if you do, everyone has die-hard habits, some things that they will still commit to, even when they try to consciously avoid doing so. However,